or health know the enthusiasm and passion he has. And you're going to see it in his coaching. Beside Brandon, we put together a tremendous staff. And I'm not going to talk too much about them because it's part of their presentation tonight. But Steve Ryan is an exceptional soccer man, a great father, a great coach, another great educator. Okay? Steve was our head boys coach that had tremendous success. And he's been around and he's going to share some of his experiences as a father with the AAU and everything else. A new fresh face is Julianne Barkley, who's going to be coaching softball and soccer. Julianne is a chemistry teacher, science teacher in Harvard, which I'm excited about because we get to build that bridge over to NVD, and she's going to be a face you're going to see on the scene, a tremendous athlete herself in her own right, and she's going to add to our staff. So I'm very excited about this coaching staff. They have my support 100%, and they know what I expect of them. You know, we've sat down already, and they know they're going to create a great experience. I need you to do your part. We all have roles in this, okay? You guys do the parenting at home. You know, you build in the character. You have your certain demands at home. You know, clean up the room, do whatever your rules are. Coaches will do their thing. And if my parents and the coaches can work together, that's going to be tremendous. That's going to be tremendous. So we will talk more, you know, as the season gets closer, but without any further ado, I know you're sick of looking at me, especially with this new little addition on my face, but everything's going to be fine. Yeah, a little dog fight. Husbands, make sure you take out the garbage because this is what happens. But on a serious note, I'd like to introduce our new head coach, Mr. Brandon Silver.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, what can I say? I'm excited. You know, this has been a little bit of an up and down roller coaster. It's full cycle now, and this took some time to think about. I'll be honest. We'll go through a little bit of a presentation. Well, it's actually not a little bit of a presentation. It's actually quite extensive, but there's a lot of thought that goes behind it for obvious reasons. But nonetheless, we're excited. So let me get started so that we don't take up too much of your time. So bear with me. This is going to be the most you're going to hear us talk. Even at our banquet, we kind of hand it over to the players. It's their banquet. It's not our banquet. At Meet the Coaches night, we might tighten some things up. You'll see some things in the background. Feel free to read them. Coach and I are going to talk through them a bit. But again, starting with the end in mind, and we're going to go through how we kind of run our ship and the experience we've had together, a little bit about each other. Just because it's kind of awkward to talk about yourself, and we don't like doing that. It's like when you're standing in the elevator with somebody you don't know. It's definitely awkward. So we're going to talk a little about each other, and I'll introduce Jewel, and we'll go through each slide little by little as best we can. And then we'll have some questions and answers at the end. But again, just bear with us. Try to focus on just this for now. Again, this is the most you're going to hear us talk, but this is important to us. And we spent a lot of time on this presentation to give you a good impression of how we are as people, number one, as coaches, certainly second. So this is the objective. I split them up into 2 different columns. You'll look to your left column. This is what we're going to try to cover as quickly as possible, because that's what we think is important. And then to your right, we're going to give you a soccer crash course 101, and just kind of give you an idea of what we're looking at. It looks very extensive in terms of like a syllabus or like a table of contents, but we're going to go through rather quick. We're going to send this to you so you can always revisit it again, and we're also filming it. So if there's any questions, you can watch it. We'll upload it. And anything anybody missed, we don't want anybody to miss anything and leave no stone unturned. We're here for you guys and the kids, and we want to make sure we start this off the way it should. So things to consider, questions to consider. What do you think your daughter has to offer the NVD soccer program? And how do you know your daughter has a successful experience in the NVD soccer program? These are 2 questions I want you to think about a little by little as we go through this presentation. Just keep thinking about them, little by little, because they're gonna surface and they're gonna immerse. And really, this is the essence of the 2 things. I think parents need to be involved nowadays. It doesn't mean that we have to go out for sushi. It doesn't mean that we have to go to each other's houses. It means that we need your support, and we need to know that you're going to back us up. And this is over time. This is not something I'm going to do this presentation and you're going to say, oh my, I'm going to back that guy up. By all means, I don't expect that. But by and large, you can imagine that we need each other. So we're going to introduce the coaching staff. I think it's important. Steve and I went back and forth on how we would handle this, but we think it's important that you know who you're going to be with, and we're going to explain that too, who your daughter's going to spend time with every day after school. Both levels. Because, again, not to drift off the presentation, but it isn't two separate programs within a program. The idea that we spend so much time with the JV is going to be difficult, but that we spend time with them is important because they're important to us. So let me just talk a little bit about Steve. Actually, we introduced Jules first. Jules came to us, awesome story. Mr. Butler hired her as a softball coach, and he said, look, Coach, we have this dynamite female that's going to be coaching softball. And I said to him, Coach, why don't you see if she has any soccer background at all? I mean, the enthusiasm is what I need. I can teach her the soccer. Let me ask. And sure enough, she said she did. So she had a great career at Dumont High School, played all 4 years, and soccer was a big passion for her, but just wasn't as good at soccer as she was at softball. So then she went to take her softball skills over to play at Rutgers. She played all 4 years at Rutgers and had a great college experience there, which is, again, the reason we got her to coach softball here in the spring. But now she'll be joining us in the fall as our JV coach, helping us out. And in June, which we'll explain when we teach our coaching course here, she's going to be taking it. So it's going to be a nice little transition for her, and we're really excited about having her. She's been nothing but great, and there's nothing but exceptional things about her teaching. And if she can teach what she does in the classroom, then we can teach her how to teach the soccer on the field. That's no doubt. Steve Ryan. Well, let me as you can see, he's had a pretty extensive playing career. Went to Needham High School and played all 4 years in high school. Had some great. I actually met his high school coach. He just got inducted into our Association Hall of Fame. Dynamite guy, had nothing but great things to say about Steve. Went to play in college. And then so some of the highlights, you can see the semi-pro back then, it was right before the Red Bulls and the Venture Stars all kind of came about, and he played at a very, very high level for many years. It doesn't make him a great soccer coach, but he's played. So being his age now and being able to run around still, he still can demonstrate. He still can get out there and run around. Being 75 years old, it's pretty good. His coaching experience is what I'm most proud of. As you can see, from 1994 to 2003, he was our soccer coach here. I didn't know him then. And then you can see how he got Coach of the Year of Bergen County, the Hall of Fame inductee. He started the Vikings, which I'm not sure is a good thing or a bad thing, but I don't know. But luckily enough for me, I say this all the time. When you're coaching in a state championship and it's going back and forth, it's tied. You don't really know. You're watching the game and you're not really sure how to handle things, or you go through a bad loss. You coach against coaches that turn around and are by themselves, and they don't really know how to handle it because they've got no one with them. And it's hard to go things by yourself. We never go things by ourselves. We always have people to help us. I've had him by my side for the longest time now. I never had to go through it by myself. Whether it was a win, whether it was coming off a state championship and trying to win the next one the following year, and how are we going to handle this, to a bad loss that we shouldn't have lost, it's always nice to have somebody next to you, especially all the experience that he brings. So he was with us for a lot of county state championships before we came back to school here, which we're excited about. And I'm going to highlight this there too, the United Soccer Coaches. We'll explain a little more about that in a little bit, but soccer is one of the only sports that offers professional development for soccer coaches. You can get all like Division I soccer college coaches, they all have their diplomas and licenses. A lot of athletic directors won't hire you unless you have a certain level of diploma. Steve is now teaching those diplomas with me. We now host coaching courses with college coaches. Like this past summer, we had Northeastern, Princeton. We've had multiple college coaches, which we'll get into. It's been a nice little change for the two of us to be together. And then, of course, this pup team won the state cup champs this past fall, which is pretty neat. And then teaching here, he's a Northern Valley Denver's teacher, Bergen County Teacher of the Year nominee. There's a lot to be said about this here because if you watch him teach in the classroom, we are very different in our coaching styles, which makes us a very dangerous, in a good way, team. Because we don't really agree with each other a lot of times, which is what you want. It's a very cool kind of formula that works really well. And the way he teaches, I've grown as a teacher because of him. So he's nice to have on my side. But you can see where he's been a mentor teacher for a lot of our teachers in the building. Our new teachers, actually, he mentors and sits with them and takes them through all these how the walls work here in the school. So I've been very lucky to have him, and I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't have done this without him. I said to him, if you want to do this with me, I'll look into it and definitely consider it, but I can't do this without you, especially for my own sanity with my own family, which is coming. So, I'm lucky to have him. So that's Steve Ryan. His wife teaches in the school, and his daughter Caroline is a senior at Northern Highlands, which is, she's looking to move on now, and that's a whole other stressful environment in the Ryan household. And Ellie actually plays for Highlands, which will be very interesting game 3. He probably won't be on the sideline with us, but you can understand why. And then, of course, he has a dynamite dog who's crazy, Suki. All right, so that was that.
Okay.
So I'll pass it over to him.
All right. So Coach Silva, you guys, many of you have had him in phys ed class, so you know him, of course. He has a incredibly impressive playing background, including playing for the Metro Stars reserve team before they were the Red Bull. So he has a professional background in knowing what soccer's like at the highest level. His coaching background is even more extensive. A couple of highlights. Number one, he has his Master Coach Diploma from the now United Soccer Coaches, but at the time, the NCAA, which is basically like a master's degree in coaching soccer. He's the New Jersey State Director of United States Soccer Coaches. That's not a position that is given out lightly by the association, so he's the director for the whole state. He's in charge of all the education that happens in the state. Of course, you know, he was formerly the head coach here, and kind of came into the program when girls soccer was kind of new in the school, and really brought it into like a much more serious, much more like competitive type environment. And then, of course, moving to IHA. IHA is a unique place to coach. If you know anything about it, it's a very competitive athletic school. A lot of kids are going there to play a particular sport, and has a great tradition of winning a lot. And that was a fun place to coach. 2014, #1 team in the country, National Coach of the Year. So some impressive stuff there. And a bunch of state championships and 2 county championships. The only team that's beat Highlands in more than a decade, right? He's been a teacher here for 15 years, as Coach Butler talked about. I would echo that. You know, his enthusiasm, his desire to really connect with every single student and really bring the phys ed or the health curriculum alive is really, I think, if you've been in his class, you know what I'm talking about. He's done a lot of, kind of further education. And then most importantly, a young family at home, 2 young girls who are just kind of into the preschool world, and a new baby from the past summer, and a big crazy dog, and then his wife Diana, who is the guidance counselor at Ramapo High School. So he's got a full plate as he takes on this job. All right, Coach.
All right, so this is pretty neat. So just to get right into this. So on August 17th, we're just going to get right into our presentation and some of the things that we decided we're going to share with you. On August 17th, we're going to be heading to Red Bull Arena. And what this is, again, with our connections, we're going to be taking the team or the program, depending on how we want to situate it, through what you call reading of the game. And when they're done with this for that night, they're going to get a ticket to the game. We're going to watch the game. The professional coach, Chris Armis, will come in and speak to them, the actual head coach of the Red Bulls. And we'll do a little kind of thing in the press room. We go underneath by the locker room there. And then at the end, if they go and exhaust all these things, they get a diploma, which they can put in their college resume. Because they spent the amount of time they need to spend with us. And it's kind of like a mini coaching course. It's very unique because we're allowed to do that. We got permission to do that. And it's because they're so young that we had to get permission, and then, of course, we had to reach out to our contacts at Red Bull to see if they would be willing to do that. So that's what we have set up for them right there. And we go on the field. We're on the field for warm-ups. We get all this kind of exclusive opportunity with them, and then we go and watch the game. The first part of the game we'll watch from a coaching lens, which is what we do with the coaching course that we run there. And then the second part will be as a fan. And that's typically how the night works. So that's just a little opportunity that we're going to have for them on August 17th. So you can see there's a hidden link only for NVD girls. That's an actual link that we set up just for our program. So when we start, they can just, it's exclusive for us. Because the $95 to take the class and to get the diploma and have like rights to the arena because we go in the VIP entrance. Did I just say that VIP entrance too? Okay. It's a hidden link only for us. So the other coaches that will be coming in, if we take it publicly to other coaches, they'll probably, it'll be more expensive for them. So you take a look at this pretty interesting statistic. The timeline from August 12th to November 16th. November 16th, the state final at Kane University. That's the reason why we put that up there, because that's how we always plan our calendar. Again, the elephant in the room is that we plan to be at Kane University. There's a lot that will go behind that, of course. But 96 days, 2.5 hours, 240 hours per season. That's 960 hours of your high school career. So that's a lot of time spent with people, and that's got to be special. It's got to be transparent. It's got to be fun. It's got to be educational. It's got to be inspiring, and all the things that you want for my own kids to experience as they get older, that we want your kids to experience. So just a quick statistic. The varsity roster, this is tough for me. There's 13 returning players. I put question mark because I don't know if all 13 are returning. And this is all a fresh start for everybody. I'm kind of going in this with, I watched a few games last year, but I'm excited. I'm hoping that they're going to be excited. And I hope that the message that we send is it's a clean slate. I mean, you're gonna do what you have to do. Now, there's 13 players returning, so it's their job to lose, if that makes any sense. Because I know, obviously, all 13 of them, in terms of people and players, I don't know a lot about them. I didn't spend enough time with them. So, how many players are we going to take? Again, I have no idea. It's very difficult to tell you that, which is something that I'm sure you'd like to know. But I think after I go through all this with Coach, you'll get a better understanding of what our expectations are and how you might fit that. I know some of the girls might be a little bit scared about us coming in because of the soccer background that we have, but that's not what I want. That's not what we want to convey. So the mandatory team commitment is 6 days per week. We don't know what that's like. We don't like not training on Sundays if we have a game on Monday. It's just something about it that we don't like doing. So we could say it's Monday through Saturday, but then if we have to get together on a Sunday to get some touches to get ready for Monday, then the day off would be on Saturday. But just so that everyone knows both the JV and varsity calendar is done. It's done by day. Everything is finished. From the minute we start until how many practices, when the overload and underload days are, which we'll talk about, it's all organized. The team placement, we call it placements because I don't like the word cut. I never liked it. Where they're going to be placed will be August 14th, which is the Wednesday. That's done face-to-face. That's not done by a letter. It's not done by a list. It's not done in a big group. It's done with the two of us, like the way a person should handle things, and it's done just like this. And it's relaxed, it's okay, and it's talked through. It takes hours for us to do it. But it's worth it, because this is different than this, it's different than a letter, it's different than an email. And what are we teaching? This is uncomfortable, but that's what it is. I mean, it's hard to do, but we have to handle it that way. In our opinion, that's why we always handled it, and that's how we'll do it. Team practice will be on August 15th, which is a Thursday. It's going to be a super exciting day. The chain of command, this is pretty brief. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. If there's something going on, you have to come to us. The players have to come to us to address it first. We have to know. What we don't know is what we don't know. If it skips us and goes right to Mr. Butler, then we had an opportunity to try to fix it. So we want to be able to deal with it first. And if that can't be dealt with, then we'll go to Mr. Butler and we'll deal with it, with you as parents and the players there as well. And then, of course, if it gets any further than that, which hasn't happened to us, then it'll have to go further than that. But I don't suspect it happening. And I think that has a lot to do with the communication and transparency, which you're going to get. I think it's very face value. As long as it's communicated properly and we're very open-minded about things, it's going to be fine. The scrimmages, you notice, are nothing like last year. These are all like Roxbury is state semifinalist, very organized coach, great guy. They're going to be putting the ball on the ground. They're going to give us a tough time. DePaul Catholic, gritty, hard, athletic, another kind of like a Ridgewood. Prepare us. Monroe Woodbury, monster. They're a monster program. I want to say they lost in the state championship, so they're going to be a tough opponent. You see where I'm going with this. West Orange, again, down south, gritty. We're going to play away to get us ready for the first game. Not looking past Ridgewood, just the first game. So it's a lot there. You don't see, I don't know. You don't see, no disrespect to them, but these aren't going to be 6-0 scrimmages not to prepare us, put it that way. So why play high school soccer? Why play high school soccer? Is this you or is this me?
That's me.
Okay. Go ahead, Coach.
All right. So since you're here, right, maybe we should start at the beginning. Why do you play high school soccer, right? Well, obviously you want to get better at soccer, otherwise you do something different. Obviously you want to have fun, right, with your friends and your teammates. And as Coach Butler talked about a little bit at the beginning, high school sports, scholastic sports, is about a lot more than the sport, right? And the sport, in a lot of cases, is kind of like secondary. So a lot of things happen during the course of the season, during the course of being a high school athlete. A lot of things that are frustrating, annoying, upsetting, whatever the case may be, and you have to figure it out. And you got to solve it, and it makes you grow, and it makes you stronger as a person, right? And that's the reason that I believe in high school sports, because those are the experiences I had, and the reason that I'm so happy my kids are playing high school sports, because it's not always good. It's not always a good day. You don't always win the game. You don't always play as much as you wanted to. You might make mistakes, and those are all things you have to deal with. So those are the ways that you kind of grow over time by playing high school sports. And that's primarily why we coach. So the reason we coach is we want you to have those three things, and our job is to give you the opportunity to experience those things. You may not take that opportunity whatever way, but it's an opportunity that's there for you through the experience we're going to have. And one thing that's really important there, which is something I think Brandon has a video on, is the idea that like who you are as a person is so much more important than who you are as an athlete or a soccer player, right? We should never forget that soccer is something you do for fun and you like it, and maybe it's going to help you get into college or whatever, but it's not the most important thing in the world, right? And who you are as a person is much more important. And that's a lesson we've learned over time, and it's a lesson that we will definitely continue to teach. So scholastic sports have a particular purpose. It's an extension or even an enhancement of the classroom. So you can learn stuff in school, you're in class every day with a bunch of teachers and your friends, and you can have a very good class. I'm going to make the argument as a biology teacher that you're going to learn a lot more about things by playing a sport. There are things that happen in a sport that aren't touched in the classroom, right? And that's really why sports are so powerful. So all kinds of things can happen. You have to learn all kinds of lessons. If we win a game, lose a game, does it really matter in the end? No. The sun comes up tomorrow just the same, right? But you get a chance to experience these things, and it prepares you for real life, in quotes. A lot of the things you do with your teammates, about how you interact with them, how you figure things out, solve problems. These are the things you have to do as an adult in the real world. That's why sports is so important. If we want sports to teach these lessons, we have to be intentional. It doesn't happen automatically, right? So we've all had coaches and seen coaches who teach in a way where life lessons and developing that athlete as a full person is not on their radar at all, right? We're not like that. So, but everyone has to buy in, as Coach was talking about. So it's a 100% commitment from everybody. A quick word about scholastic versus club sports. So my kids have played tons of club sports. I've spent tens of thousands of dollars on club sports in basketball, lacrosse, soccer, and field hockey over the years, right? Those experiences are different than high school sports. They are, right? Club sports is about you getting better as a person, as a player, as an athlete. Probably to try to play in college. Once you get to a certain age, if I'm playing a club sport, it's because I want to play at the next level. Right? That's why I'm spending that money and traveling all over the place and all the rest of it. High school is different, right? If you're a high school athlete on a team, you give yourself over to the team. Whatever is best for the team is what you do. What you want, your ego, has nothing to do with it. And if a team can actually do that, it can be a real team. In a club environment, that's not the case. My daughter's played on a lot of club teams, and the kids come and go. And you guys who play club sports, you know what I'm talking about. Players come and go all the time, and it's not the same thing as playing with your friends you grew up with. It just isn't. In club sports, you're paying $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. You're one of 15, 16 kids on a team. You're going to get in the game and play because you're paying money for it. In high school sports, it's not like that. You're not paying anything to play other than your tax dollars, and anything you get on the high school field is earned. right? So just because you show up and you played last year or you're a good player doesn't mean you're going to get on the field in the high school environment. So there's no guarantees, right? It's a privilege to play for your high school, but you have to earn it. So that's what you have to kind of come into it with. Coach, you want to show me that link really quickly?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Can you guys, hold on. Here we go. Can you read that?
Yeah, I didn't see that.
U.S. high school soccer players, there's just about 390,000 women high school soccer players. Right now, high school players playing high school soccer. Number of college players, almost 40,000. Let's call it 39,000, we'll round down. High school players competing at any college level, 9.4% on the women's side. U.S. high school soccer players competing at NCAA Division I college, 2.1% of women playing at the Division I level. This is not to say you're not going to be able to do it. We're just keeping things a little in perspective. Because if anybody's an advocate to play in high school, college soccer because of our experiences, it's us. And if any way we can help you do that, we will do it. It's just to keep things in perspective. That's what we're trying to say. So this, again, we're going to share this with you, and you can see these links, but this is like true statistics. And they see that a lot of the Division I's go out, and they go to England and Spain, they go to Germany, and they recruit all these big center backs and things that want to come out and play and get their U.S. College experience. So you can see where all these different percentages come into play. So what's the bigger picture? This journey is going to end for all of us one time. I never knew that I was going to be doing one single-legged hops over a ball with a Chilean fitness coach that was going to snap my meniscus and then a week later get released and never have a chance of playing pro soccer again, ever. I never knew this would happen to me. But it ended, and now I'm here in front of you, coaching and teaching at Demers High School. Who would know? But that's what happens, right? So you don't know what's going to happen.
Okay. So just very briefly, and again, we're going to send this presentation to you so you can look at it more carefully. If you are considering playing a college sport like college soccer, and really any college sport, one thing you really want to think about is making a full commitment to your high school team. Because the high school experience mirrors the college athletic experience exactly. Right? It's a very short season, very intense, a lot of games, every game's important. You're playing with players that are not your age, older than you, younger than you. You're in a group of people that you don't know necessarily, they're not all your best friends. And it's an experience that, as a high school athlete, and again, we work with college coaches a lot, and we talk with college coaches at some of our coaching things, and they really like when kids have played a high school sport. They really like when kids have played high school soccer. There's something about high school soccer that competitively prepares you for college soccer in a way that a lot of club soccer honestly doesn't, right? You've all been to club soccer games where the game is going about 2 miles an hour because it's the third game on a weekend, right? And that is the furthest thing from a college game you could ever imagine.
So a little bit about how we kind of coach. There's a quick clip I wanted to show you, so enjoy it.
Academy. I love asking them this question. What are the first 2 questions you get asked after a basketball game by someone who wasn't at the basketball game? The reason I love it, they all have the same answers. First, did you win? Second, how many points did you score? Which shows what? What society values. Kids are being conditioned at a very early age that results are what matters most. Which is why, before basketball games, I would pull out a piece of paper and I'd write out 3 goals. 35 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. Then I'd fold that piece of paper up, I'd put it in my sock, and then at halftime, I'd pull it out, I'd look at the list, and figure out exactly what I needed to focus on in the second half. Bunch of different things wrong with the goals that I set. It's a different talk. The purpose is to show you how goal-oriented I was my entire life. And telling that a guy named Don Meyer, who at the time was the all-time winningest basketball coach in the history of the game. I asked Coach Meyer what he thought his thoughts were on goals. Here's what he told me.
I tell you what, I'm not real big on goals. We just wanted to have the best practice we could every day. We weren't going to try and win so many games or win the state. I mean, if we're the best team we can be, we might do some of those things, but there's no need to put needless pressure on yourself by setting goals like that.
That answer confused the absolute heck out of me. And I started to talk to more and more high-level coaches, and there were others that were saying the same thing. Like Brad Stevens, who was the coach at Butler University. He's now the coach at the Celtics, with the Boston Celtics. And he told me that he's gone away from talking about goals with his team. So why would a coach go away from talking about goals with their team? Well, here's the definition of the word goal. It's the result to which effort is aimed. When you focus on goals, you focus on results. And if you think about it, oftentimes results are outside of our control. So championship coaches want to direct energy into what's in their control, which is the second part of the definition. It's the effort aimed at the result. We call this the process. And it's important to recognize that your process is what drives your result. We have a lot of high-level coaches that come in and watch the way we teach footwork. They observe our process, and they all say the same thing. I can't believe you're getting players to move like this. And we see that, but we also see that it's not transferring into a game for all of them. So we started to ask the question, why? Many different cases, but one could be a player struggles with confidence. Why would we think that they would go into a game with 100, maybe 1,000 people and risk doing something they're not good at? They won't, and it's our job to coach that. And it's evident that there's something else underneath the process that's driving it, which is what I talked to Mike Krzyzewski about, who's the head coach at Duke. And he's actually now the all-time winningest coach in basketball. I asked him what he thinks drives the process. Here's what he told me.
Well, character drives everything. You know, either in a lack of it drives it downward. When you have a lot of it, it drives upward. And character is the foundation upon which you win.
He would know. And we believe that character is also the foundation upon which you develop. Character means so many different things to so many different people. Dr. Jim Blair helped me understand further what character means. There's two things that make up character. The first thing is your performance skills. These are character skills that govern your relationship with yourself. The way we explain it to people in our academy, these are the things that will get you up at 5:30 a.m. to go work out at a gym by yourself just to get better. The second category is what we call moral character skills. These are character skills that govern your relationships with others. They're the things that make you a great teammate and a great friend. And together, these make up your character. We have a lot of kids that want to play college basketball. So we went on a journey and we did over 130 interviews. And we boiled this study down to this group of coaches. Now, within this group, there's 8,700 wins, 200 conference championships, and 21 national championships. So from a society standpoint, these guys are killing it. So what we did is we took out, with our interviews, what they value most. And we populated a list of the top 10 performance and moral character skills. Here's the list. Now, as you look at this list, I want you to think about teams that you've been on, teams that you lead. What if every member had all of these skills? How much better would you be? So I think it's our job as educators, as leaders, as parents, to develop these things. That's why we call them character skills, not traits. Skills can be developed, traits sound fixed. Is the point of this talk to say that you shouldn't set goals? No. Goals can provide a vision and sometimes inspiration if set correctly. The point of this talk is to show you that the great leaders that I've been around, they focus less on the result and more on the process. But they recognize that character is what drives the process, which drives the result. Thank you guys very much.
So the reason why I wanted to show you that is I'm a very process-oriented person, and that's the way I've coached, and that's the way we coach. That's the way I was raised. With my dad and my parents, it was very just stay focused, and sometimes if I did the best I could and got a B, then if I said that's the best I can do, then I got a B. But as long as it was the best I could do, then they were okay with that. And that's carried me through everything I've done, really. I have bad days, I'm not perfect, but in terms of a process, we can't control the ref, we can't control how the ball bounces weird off our shins in a corner kick, we can't control the games where we're like, I can't believe we didn't win that game. We can't control some of those things. What we can control is the hour and 15-minute practice that we're out there. It's rigorous, it's focused, it'll be organized, it'll be sharp, and that we are all on the same page and noses pointed all in the same direction. And that's what's going to be the biggest thing, I think. This is in the background, but all I can tell you is being completely transparent from my mouth to your ears. When I go home every day now at 3:30, 4 o'clock, it's hands on deck. My wife has been with our baby all day and the twins 2 or 3 days a week, and by the time I get home, you can imagine it's past the baton. And so when I do that, I'm reading books, I'm giving baths, I'm playing with Barbies, I'll admit it. I'm painting fingernails, but what I'm trying to tell you is, before I did this, I had a conversation with Mr. Butler. This is something I really need to do. I think it's something I really wanted to do. And if I'm going to do it, I'm doing it. Because there's a lot of sacrifice I'm taking for this. Because now you take me out of that 3:30, 4 o'clock every day, and I'm not getting home till 5:30, 6 o'clock. That's a big deal in my life right now. Right now it's a big deal. Maybe in 3 or 4 years. But this opportunity came now. And that's why I'm deciding to take it. So all I can tell you is I'm going to work my tail off with him to make sure that this is the right experience for every kid, no matter what their ability is. I'll do the best I can. Because a lot of sacrifices we're making to do this. And it's only going to be done the way we know how it's done. Okay? So again, this is a very wordy sentence, and the reason why I made it wordy is because we're going to share it with you. But it's about the process, and there's no egos in this process. Every day we come out to practice, whether it's a JV or varsity team, and it's going to be, we're there to have fun, of course, but it's going to be gritty, it's going to be organized, and it's going to be, everything we want it to be. This is the kind of slide that I can sit in Starbucks with you or salt pepper shakers and have 3-hour conversations with you about the game that I love. This is the nitty-gritty. This is the things that you probably shouldn't know. I don't build a deck because I don't build a deck because I can't. I hire somebody to build a deck. I can coach soccer. Not as great as I want to yet, but it's what I study. This is what I do. So when it comes to soccer like this is what we're going to be training the team on. It's the 4 moments of the game. If you look at that, that's a basketball game. When we have possession of the ball, when we don't have possession of the ball, the second we lose it on a steal, the second we get it back on a steal. What do we do as a team? How we organize? What are they thinking? It's like this the whole time. We're going to educate them on the 4 moments of the game. This is where the game starts. You don't build the house without a foundation, and you don't start the game of soccer without the 4 moments of the game. And then what are the principles of the game? These are the guidelines. If we tell the players, do what you want, go out there and play, just go, do your thing, then it's organized chaos. There is no method behind our madness. If we say what we call our coaches on the coaching course is an Xbox coach, pass it here, turn it right, stop, turn it, and you're just coaching from the sideline like it's a remote. It's never going to work because you're trying to coach a team that is trying to think for themselves in a game that's critical thinking, right? You have the fans yelling, you have the players talking to each other. It's a lot going on. So the principles, we have these certain principles of the game that we want to say, if the goal is there and we can hit the ball to the closest player to the goal, why wouldn't you do it? But if you can't go there, then you would go there, because that's the next closest place to the goal. If you can't go there and there, you would go backwards, which is not where we want to go, but sometimes you have to be able to go there. These are the principles. Very easy to understand when we break it down to them. And we have a way of doing it. We have a way of the way we're going to do it. So the objective of soccer is to score a goal. It's penetration. We want to go forward as fast as we can. This is a soccer 101. So after this, parents, anybody that wants to coach a high school sport, you can. Think about this mentality. Think about this. The first objective of the game is to score. Because of the way she's trained, the first objective of the game of soccer is to score, to go forward. She picked it up in midfield and said, well, I can take this player on. Look at the player right there. She could just go 1v1 right now and try to beat this player. But that's not the name of the game. The name of the game is a score. She got her head up and tried to shoot it, and she scored. That's what we're going. It's a you get the idea. Go watch that over and over again. Okay, so if you score a goal, if you can't score a goal, you can make an assist to a goal. And if you can't assist to a goal, you get the assist to the goal. And if you can't do that, then you keep it. It's easy. But now you're trying to train these things in all the areas of the field. It's awesome. And you're trying to get this, then you get into the click. And then we call them societies. You have the back row, the midfield block with the forward block, and how can they all work together? And the moments of the game based on our principles. It's awesome, and it takes a lot of work. But there's one thing that's going to be important on the players that they get done. So anyway, I'm going to breeze through this because, again, I don't want to bore you with so much of the soccer tactics, which is actually the most exciting thing for me to talk about. But again, defending too, our thing is how can we get our opponent to get their head down on the ball? How good is Ridgewood? If their head is up, probably pretty good. But if their head is down, how good are they? So let's get their head down on the ball. Let's get them to look at the ball as much as possible. How do we do that? By applying pressure. How do we apply pressure? With a Northern Valley press. Well, how are you going to do that? Aha, that's coming. It's going to be rigorous. It's going to be a method behind our madness. And it's going to be a lot of fun because when it works, as long as we can teach it right, which we can, and as long as they can understand it, which is going to be the way we teach it and the way they understand it, it's going to be tough to beat. It should be. It's awesome. And then the game is transitional, right? We talk about the 4 moments of the game. We talk about playing the game in the future. The next time you watch your daughter play soccer, if you get the opportunity, ask her how many, or you check how many times she does this in the game. Off the ball, on the game. Just check it, just to see what's going on in the game. We call it scanning. Ask, just to see, film 5 minutes to see how many times she's doing this. And I'll tell you, if whoever she's playing for is not teaching her how to do this, you should think about getting some money back. This is playing the game in the future. This is scanning the field. This is being able to know what you're going to do next with the ball. It doesn't mean you have to be an unbelievable soccer technical athlete to do it. You can be awful at soccer. But if you can do this in the game, and always lurking to be able to get yourself some more space and time to play, you're going to be fine. Come on in. So, how do you watch your daughter play soccer? This is called a soccer action. A soccer action is what's being communicated on the field. What's going on around them. The ball's moving, and now what's the ball telling the players? Bear with me now. Bear with me, because I know I'm losing you a little bit, so stay with me, you guys especially. The ball's shifting in the back row Highlands, and now we have to communicate something. Something's happening. That's a communication. Something's going on in the game. Right? And then we have to make a decision as a group and use a player. So now I have something communicated to me. Ball gets played to my feet. Now I have to make a decision on what I'm going to do. And now can I execute whatever I decided to do? That's one soccer action on the field. That's what we call soccer actions. The more soccer actions they get on the field, at the utmost pressure, then the better they're going to be. Does that make sense to everybody? And you can say yes to me or not, because you're probably just saying yes to me, which is fine. But that is a soccer action. So what you're watching in the game, as a parent, is how many times can they scan the field? How many times can they read pressure? Then they get it, and after they lost it. Why did they lose it? Did they look before they got the ball? What was being communicated with them? And again, you could be the most technical player, and you could be the not most technical player, which means your skill's not that great, or your skill's really great. But then once you make that choice, can you execute it? Can you hit the ball with your pinky toe? Can you bend it with your big toe? Can you hit it with your laces? Can you heel it? Can you take it down your chest and put it down the ball? I don't know. It's whatever you decide that you have to do at that time. This to me is, and we're getting towards the end here, but we saved this for last. Because this might be the biggest scare from the girls' least in the school, and this is the least of our worries. We spend the least amount of time on fitness, yo-yos and running and miles and 5-mile runs for the boys. There's a reason, but you have to understand what your job is here, because this is a big deal, for us to do the things that we need to do. Okay? So, since Coach likes fitness so much, go ahead, Coach, take it over.
All right, well, so Coach explained the soccer action, right? So the game's communicating to you, right? And it comes in your brain, and you make a decision. And then you do something. You pass the ball, you trap the ball, you shoot the ball, you run here, you run there. So fitness in soccer then is how many times can you do that over the course of the game, right? So if you're playing like a 3-on-3 game, it's going to happen a lot, right? Because there's only 6 players on the field. Playing an 11-on-11 game, it's going to happen less often. But the idea is that you can maintain the quality and the frequency of the soccer action over the course of the game, right? And if you can do that, you're soccer fit. Doesn't matter if you can run 2 miles in 12 minutes, doesn't matter what your score is on the yo-yo test, it has nothing to do with soccer. Soccer fitness is that. The soccer actions, all that other stuff, that's what we teach you. That's what we're going to do together as a team. The soccer fitness stuff will only happen before August 12th. If you come into August 12th and you are not soccer fit, you are never going to get soccer fit. Fitness takes 6 to 8 weeks of like a concerted workout program. We do not have 6 or 8 weeks. We have like 14 days before breakthrough. So any fitness that you're going to have from August 12th to November 16th, you come in already on August 12th with it. If you don't come in fit, and we do all the rigorous things we're going to do, which is playing a lot of soccer and teaching a lot of soccer and learning a lot of soccer, you will get fatigued. When you get fatigued, you don't play well. The quality and frequency of your actions goes down, right? When you get fatigued and you don't play well, you lose your playing spot. You lose your time on the field. When you try to play fatigued, you just get more fatigued. And you're probably aware that there's an epidemic of injuries in female sports. Almost all those injuries are fatigue-related injuries. The players played the sport when they were over-fatigued. Right? And when you're over-fatigued, your brain is tired, your muscles are tired, your muscles and your brain aren't communicating, and you take a wrong turn, and you turn your leg, and something bad happens. Right? So it's super important that we'll have a program for you to do, but we will not do any fitness as a team. Right? We're only going to be able to do, to keep you guys in shape all the way through November 16th, 2 hard days a week, 2 overloads. And guess what? We have at least 2 games every week. So that means we'll never do fitness during the season. If we did it, we would be fatiguing you and we'd be hurting your performance. Therefore, if you don't come in fit, you will never get fit, you will get fatigued, and you will either lose your playing time or you will get hurt. It's pretty basic.
And as a team,
that's right. So the season can be over essentially before it starts in terms of our potential success. Because the fitness is the foundation that everything else is built upon.
and this doesn't mean 7 a.m. practice during the summer. That's not what's going to happen. During this next 2, 3, 4 weeks, we'll sit in the office, we'll have a conversation, and I asked for a couple of the seniors, what do you think is manageable? I mean, you have to have a summer too. Your summers, or your social time, you have camp, you have other things that are very important. I get that. But if we're going to hand over a program to you, the question is, how do we know you're going to do it? Or we say we're going to have practice 3 days a week at 7 o'clock in the morning, and we go there, and we leave families, and it's crickets, and there's 6 players that show up. I'm not going to do that either. So we have to come up with an agreement that if you are in the Hamptons, and you're at a friend's beach house or your own, that you'll take the time, which is no more than 20, 25 minutes, what we've designed, that's proven to work, that you're going to do what you have to do and feel good about it, so that when 6 to 8 weeks come, you'll feel good about it. Plus, even for your own health. And it's nothing rigorous. Okay? So you can see by this slide.
Yeah, well, the last thing then, just to leave you with the message. So you come in on August 12th, soccer fit, you'll be on the green line, right? So we'll have a hard workout, you'll be able to handle it, you'll recover, you'll adapt, and you'll get a little stronger. And we'll repeat that with enough rest in between. You come in not soccer fit, we'll overload you, you'll get fatigued, you won't recover for the next workout, we'll repeat the exact same thing, you'll get a little more fatigued, and you get on the red line. Right? And the red line is not where you want to go. So it's not really a matter of fitness is punishment. Fitness is not punishment. Fitness is a privilege that's how you earn the right to play the game the way the game is supposed to be played. It's the bottom line.
It's the bottom line. So football action might be like 4v4 games in a small space, clocked, with recovery that's planned. So you're playing 4v4, but it is like flying. Then you get a minute recovery, you step off, it's active rest. We're moving around, we're sweating, we're getting water, the heart rate's dropping. Now at this moment, we're getting get back in the field again, get back in the field again. All of a sudden, let's go get back in the field, the 4v4 game, boom, the clock starts. And it's 100 miles an hour again, with the ball. So there's a lot of football action, a lot of decision making, a lot of execution, and there's a lot of fitness in there. But if you're burnt after the second game, and we're going to play 80 minutes against a team that's really good, it's going to be tough. So we can't, the fitness is the scary part for us, I'll be honest. To be, again, transparent, the fitness part is the things that we really can't control. Because now in the summers, we got to close our eyes and just say, please just come back the way we want you to come back. Especially since we're coming into this fresh. We want to make it different. And I know that us, the two of us, can make a difference. I know that we can make a difference from a soccer standpoint, but I'm not going to hold your hand from a fitness standpoint. So you can see right here the no accumulation fatigue, the faster nervous system. If you don't get fatigued, your nervous system is quicker to react, and now your high-speed actions with the football actions are quicker, and you get high accuracy actions. What you're doing is actually working and it's faster because you're not tired enough to do it, and then obviously it's success because you have more talent development. It's scientifically proven. This is not trying to somewhere to go out there and run 2 miles. It's going to be soccer specific, and it's not going to be too difficult. So this is the app that we're going to purchase for the team.
Soccer Pulse is a brand new app for iOS and Android that changes the way coaches manage and monitor their players. Let's go on a quick tour of the app to see what it's all about. Players submit daily questionnaires that indicate their soreness, fatigue, stress, sleep, and mood. Collectively, these give us an idea of how ready that player is to perform. Higher percentage values indicate players who are feeling fresh, while lower numbers indicate players who are suffering from fatigue. Collectively, coaches can see all their players' reports in the squad status view. This displays the player's most recent report first, and any changes from the previous report are shown above the player's profile picture. From the squad status view, we can select Team Overview, which will give us an overall snapshot of how our team is currently feeling. Additionally, we can see how many reports were submitted today to understand how current the snapshot is. Now let's talk about events. Coaches can add 5 different types of events. Simply set the event type, duration, date, and location. Once the event is created, players are notified and will indicate if they are attending. As players respond, Soccer Pulse will display how many goalkeepers, defenders, midfielders, and strikers are attending, making it easy to plan the session. When the event is finished, all attending players will be asked how demanding it was. If the event was a game, they will also indicate how many minutes they played. This data is added to the post-event view, where it can be graphed and analysed. We hope your players never become injured, as if they do, Soccer Pulse has a new injury list to help us analyse the types of injuries and the most common occurrences. From this view, we can see all the current injuries, past injuries, total days injured, and the most common injury. In the top right corner, we can see our squad health, which indicates the percentage of players that are not currently carrying an injury. In 2018, we're building on the strengths of the core app with the introduction of some exciting new features. The most valuable new feature is...
Alright, so that's the app we'll use to basically track the readiness of the players and
games throughout the course of this...
That was mine.
to measure the load that they're taking on. So we will calculate the load that we're putting on the players, and we know approximately what a load should be per week, and we'll be able to adjust our training sessions, the intensity and the time of the training sessions, and even differentiate among different players. Let's say a player who played a lot in the game versus a player who played less. We'll be able to differentiate those things, and we'll know where everybody stands. Obviously, player compliance, with the 10 seconds in the morning it takes you to plug in those answers, and then at the end of training, what you plug in, that's your job, and then the app does the rest of it, and we get that information. And we use this at IHA, so we like it, and it was very helpful to know where the players were at. And if someone's not feeling well or has a little tightness someplace, that all gets seen, and then we get to know that before training starts. We get in touch with the trainer, and it just helps the overall communication. Everyone's on the same page with where they're at.
There's some work that goes behind it, but obviously they're worth it. They're worth every minute of it, and every time that we do it, we do it in the classroom. We differentiate the instruction in the classroom. It's the same thing. It just takes more time and more work to do, but they're worth it. So, and again, if it's a 45-minute practice, which we'll have, it's going to be a hard 45-minute practice, but based on what they tell us, we should be fine for the next day. So it's good. So you'll see just quickly 10 questions we ask ourselves about your daughter as a soccer player. This is what kind of we go through. We take that first 3 days, August 14th to the 12th to the 13th to 14th, really seriously. It's sleepless nights. It's a lot of meetings because it's a big deal to us. Who are we going to spend the next 3 months with is really important. it's a very unique experience for me because some of the girls, I remember when they were like 7 or 6 years old, and now they're going to be gone, and some of them I get to spend their last year with. So this adds a little bit more of a special kind of a touch to it, which is another reason that made me do this, to take this on again, I'll be honest. And then of course, the underclassmen that are coming up, and some of the girls I get to meet in the hallway, especially with Coach, and they're a good group of kids, which makes it that much more intriguing, to be honest with you. Even if you're not the greatest soccer player, they're all really good kids, and deserve to feel good. So these are some of the questions that we go through together when we're looking at evaluating them and discussing where their placement's going to be. And I'll send this to you. So the summary is, can your daughter outplay her direct opponent based on roles and responsibilities, area of the field in the moment? This is based on player propensities, and this is what Coach and I, again, we go through. But the biggest thing is a team, are you a culture builder or a culture breaker? And this is just some of the things that, again, you'll look through. It's very wordy, but it's a pretty powerful thing that Coach and I had found and that we really believe in. Because now, I don't know I shouldn't say I don't know what the culture's like, but I don't really care what it was like. I mean, no disrespect to anybody else that was here. I know the kind of culture that we want to create. And some of the parents that have known us for many years, I think you know the kind of culture that we're going to create. And I'm not the same coach I was when I left here 6 years ago, 7 years ago. I'm different. So, but this is a culture again, so they have to buy into it. So you can see where you fall here. If it's a culture, it's a recreational behavior, and it's a culture builder. You have the upper left-hand corner there. This thing's not really working that well, but the upper left-hand corner there. We want everybody in the performance behavior and culture builder. That's what we want. We want everybody in there. It could be the player on JV that thinks that she's not very good, but is a great program player. The sport's going to end for you. You're going to be fine. You're going to flourish. You're going to flourish because you're part of this program. So whatever you decide to do, you might have learned some of these things from us. Awesome. So you didn't make varsity. So you didn't make varsity this year. Or so you're not the greatest player. But come on, be a part of something that's going to be positive in your life. Be a part of something that's going to make you a better person. The soccer's, move that aside. It's a vehicle for us to teach you these things. That's what it is. Soccer gives us the opportunity to help you be the people that you're trying to be. The coach is the person that takes players where they can't go on their own. That's what our job is soccer-wise. So the final message, I guess, from us is going to be, again, learning through growth, through challenge and difficulty. Life, my dad always told me, life's about being comfortable, feeling uncomfortable. It's never going to be that way. The older you get, your life's going to get more complex. It's never going to be easy. Things are going to happen all the time. So you just kind of like deal with it, take a deep breath and roll with it. And things aren't always going to work out. And we want to be a support system for them. We want to now be a support system for them. We took this job and it's like, oh, it's an extra stipend, it's Christmas money. No, that's not what it is. You have to understand that this is a big deal to us. And it's not this massive commitment. It's nothing more than what you did last year, or what they did last year in terms of commitment. But you're not going to be in the field for 2.5 hours. You're going to be in the field for an hour and 15 minutes, an hour and a half, and it's going to be planned and sharp. And you're going to get there on time, and we're going to leave on time, and we're going to feel good about what we do, and we're going to be a family, and we're going to feel good about that. And that's how it's going to be. And then it's going to be a relationship that's going to last forever. Like the weddings I go to from the players I've coached in the past. That to me is the essence of it. The PGA, something I learned, is post-game analysis. I'm never going to win that. So if parents get in the car and they say, why didn't he, why didn't you, why didn't he? We're done. You're a culture crusher. Never going to work. It's just going to kill it. Because they're going to come to the field with that, and now we're swimming uphill. And it's going to be difficult to try and put this, to try and get you to where you want to go. I think the elephant in the room is to play in that sectional final again. That's the elephant in the room, and there's a lot of uncontrollables that will take you to get there. I think that we can do it for sure, and I know that we can get you there, but certainly the PGA is not going to help. So keep that in mind. And then give the experience back to your daughter. Again, it's not about me, it's not about me, and it's not about you, the parents, it's about their experience. I had awesome experiences as a kid, I'll never forget them. And then again, the thing is for us, we're not going to get on the same page after tonight. Now, this is the longest meeting that we're going to ever have, and I hope that you understand that. Even with the players, we're never going to keep you for like an hour like this. This is not the way we would teach a classroom where it's very one-way communicated. It's much more interactive. But you have to know what you're getting yourself into. And we have to know what we're getting ourselves into, again. I think what we're getting ourselves into is something pretty pretty cool. But the buzz around the players now has to be positive. And the players that are on the fence about playing, we have to grab them and say, come on, join it. You don't know what it's going to be like. And give it a shot, because you don't know if it's going to change you as a person. And then get you to be behind us. My parents, I don't know who you are yet, but whoever you're going to be, I want to meet you, and I want to build a rapport with you, and I want you to know that I'm here. And I think you can kind of see the kind of guy that I am and the way we conduct ourselves. That players don't care how much we know until they know we care. We showed you our background. You know we played at high levels. That's all great. You might be like, oh, this guy. No. That means nothing to them unless we know we care about them. And some of the parents that have been around us in the past can tell you more about that. But that's really the essence of it. So, again, we give you these two quotes. 7:10 was when we started at 6:10, by the way. So if you counted 60 minutes, we're on the money. Don't think we did, because that's not right. So we set up 45 minutes to an hour for each other. We practiced this over and over again. And we wanted to make sure it was right. But like I said, we appreciate you coming on a Thursday night and listening to us. And I'm going to send this out to all of you again. My communication's a little bit tough and rough because I don't really know emails, and I miscommunicated with the incoming freshmen because I don't really have that list. But it's being videotaped, so we'll get that uploaded somehow and somewhere put that so you guys can see it, and any player that wants to refer back to it, etc. So, any questions for us, for the good of the group, for anything before we go? So if you want to, yeah, ask, please.
There's a lot of back and forth with heading in this game. Those of us from years ago think it's part of the game, but today it's different.
Mm-hmm.
What's that? You gotta teach that.
Promote it?
That.
Yeah, the one thing we do a test. Coach and I get a bunch of soccer balls and we punt it like 75 feet in the air. And the player that can head it. No, you're right, it's tough because it is part of the game. What I would say about the heading is, when the ball hits the ground, it takes a lot of velocity off the ball. Right? Because we got in situations like this, you remember, right, in the past. We weren't heading the ball, driving us crazy. Like a number 6, the ball would just wasn't good in the air. We weren't, even in corners, it's like the ball's on your head. And I understand why though, I get it. And really it's how you're heading it. It's above the eyebrow, right below the hairline, right? So if you're heading it anywhere else, like at the top here, it's going to cause concussions. Here, it's going to make you look like Rudolph. So you got to be careful on how you're hitting the ball. When the ball hits the ground, the idea is, and again, I'm going to get into a little more of the soccer stuff, but second balls for us are big. The girls are going to hear a lot of the second balls. Because when the ball's played forward and the ball's headed by somebody else, the second ball is the one we want to win, which is where the velocity is taken out of the ball already. Or if the ball bounces, how we can read that and still have a player in our back and still head it, whether we flick it. But heading it from 60 feet in the air, we never really...
It happens in the high school game. If you watch high school girls soccer, the ball has to be headed on punts and goal kicks. And if you don't head the ball, you're not going to win a lot of games. So if they don't know how to head the ball, we have to teach them how to head the ball. And there's a right way to do it, but we will not go out in a practice session and for 90 minutes punt balls and make them head it. Right? There's definitely a diminishing return there, and there's a safety issue. So it's a fine line to walk, honestly. But again, if we see somebody who is heading the ball improperly, we need to teach them the correct technique. The disadvantage they've all had is they grew up in a game where they didn't head the ball until very recently. So if they haven't done it, how would you expect them to do it correctly? So they may need to be taught.
We need to know if parents are telling them, my parents are telling me they don't want me to head the ball. Because that might change where we put them somewhere. So, right? Any other questions? Please ask.
When are you communicating what you want for the summer?
We're working on that now. We had a little senior quick group just to pick their brains a little bit and see what the best way to facilitate that. Because again, speaking out loud, if we hand the players something, I don't know if they're going to take it, put it on their dresser, and say, okay, yeah, all right, no, it's not. And then how we can keep them accountable for it. We're not going to make them come at 7 o'clock in the morning. I live in Whitehall, so to drive 35 minutes to come for 6 players, it's just not, I won't do it. It's either we're doing it or we're not doing it. So right now we're working on, and we're almost there, on what we think is going to help us get ready for the season, but at the same time, it's not going to kill your day. We think we have it. We have high
Okay, you're looking at, in the summer, the the first part of the summer, we're building a base, 4 out of 7 days with doing some fitness on your own, and then that's gonna build up a little bit. But with 20 to 30 minutes, 5 or 6 days a week, you can be pretty fit if you start at the end of school and you work through the summer and you follow it and you come in on August 12th. So the main thing is like you don't take a month off. You don't keep saying, I'm just gonna do it next week. Like going out and doing something is better than doing nothing, right? So we'll probably have it at different levels of like, you have to do at least this. If you're feeling motivated, you can do a little bit more. And if you want to be super fit like Mia Hamm, you can do this. Something like that, if you know who Mia Hamm is.
I know the girls don't like the yo-yo test. I get it. You don't like the yo-yo test. Okay. And the yo-yo test, if you pre-test it, then when you get back and you post-test it and they didn't do very good, now what do you do with that player? You can't not just say, oh, you're going to sit now until you do it right because they didn't do it right. So the compromise is going to have to be, all right, if we're not going to do this, then you got to come in this way. And then if you say, hey, Coach Ryan, listen, I'm going to be at the turf at 7 o'clock tomorrow. Why don't you work out with me? And he meets me over there, and then we get it done together. I think that you can get it done pretty quick. That's my opinion. That's
we have some ideas for having them work in groups and hold each other accountable and stuff like that. So it's not just like,
But we're getting a feel from the team.
Yeah.
We're going to work on these next few weeks because it's really on them. If they said this is what we think we do, and it's back on them, then they decide to do it, and then hopefully it works. Because if we make it do something and it doesn't work, then we're starting off in the bad way. We want it to happen. So, any other questions for us? Ask anything you want. So we're going to stick around for a few minutes just to, if you want to come introduce yourself, and thank you for coming. We're excited, and we'll see you soon.
Dad? Charles! He's never even near me. Dad! Dad!
But you did. But again,
Yeah, we're gonna play, right? Oh yeah, okay. You have to play. Yes. You're the one person we really need to do. So we'll sit together all year. You too.
How'd the tournament go?
Oh, really well.
Yeah.
Who's taking her this weekend? Are you taking her?
You got, the team played well?
I'm going too, so.
Awesome.
Videotaping this whole thing. Don't ask. I volunteer. No, for the entire season. I got drafted by Abby. And now I'm watching the game like this.
Yeah.
No, I understand.
So play at a good level and learn the game, watch games on TV.
Nice to meet you, Sarah. Thanks for coming. Good? Good.
Yeah, we have
You know, so-
expectation.
Oh, yeah, oh my God. Oh, I love him. How's he doing? He's a great kid.
They decide.
Did you know you're doing this? Okay, yeah.
That's kind of
Okay, good. Yeah, yeah.
that's my kind of
Yeah, he's always focused on the
But in terms of and everything is priced. But it really depends on what you want.
Keep in touch, and I can help you.
How passionate you about it, how much you want to work on your own.
Keep in touch.
Because let's face it, he's playing as much soccer as you are, maybe 2 or 3 practices a week. So what's going to set you apart beyond them is you're on your own. And so you have a wall and a
But that's an issue, right?
go
He's
go
out to midfield, yeah, yeah.
for a run. Like some of
Very
that
nice to meet
stuff
you.
is going to really make a difference on Kim Hamlin. So we happen to have.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Yes.
Yes. Holy cow, all the years. What I have to do?
You got it.
He's just, that's assistant?
So this may, yes, breaks, you know,
Yeah,
your future.
that's
looks
good for us.
So it's really
Cool.
cool question on how much you love the sport.
Yeah, thank you very much. I know it's a little long, but we have a lot, we have a lot of.
A lot of.
We're excited. We're excited. We are.
But it's manageable. It's
Yeah, it's
manageable.
gonna be fun. Thank you, Mr. Rich.
Good. All right. Nice to meet you guys. Yeah. Take care.
Nice to meet you.
Hi. How are you?
Bye. Yeah, thank you for coming.
Hi.
Hi, Christina. Nice to meet you. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I know. It's good running around. Yeah, I know. Yeah, us too. Yeah. Yeah. Two of kind of been for ringer. So we know how it all plays out, how it's gonna play out. So every group's different, and we'll try to get them very on the same page with how we play and our styles of play. Be really explicit with our clear about what we expect and what we want to do. Like your daughter, like in the spot, if you feel that she's going to be most successful, right? Flank or something. Run-in players. We'll put all the pieces together. I know. And I know she's very passionate about the game, so we really try to coach like college. So the kids who do want to play in college, they are getting prepared by playing in the high school environment to get ready to play in college. Well, I know she's young, right? Right, exactly. Yeah, right, yeah, because there's no, yeah, right, exactly. For a couple years, play some, NWSL, maybe $5,000. Yeah, exactly, right. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Good. Yes.
It's very
interesting. So it's only a good match. Right? I mean, if you like soccer,
on campus and you get the
to be around next to guys.
Well, no, it's a plus.
So this year,
Yeah.
he actually was a very nice candidate. He was previous one night.
Right.
I know the baseball game, I think I went to the
Yeah.
Rebecca, right?
Yeah, he knows what he's
So
doing.
we're trying to learn. She was older, he wanted to practice a week.
Yeah, right.
Nice to meet you, Christina.
Yeah, she had a great year. She
That's
just
cool.
got right in a great year, yeah.
Thank you, Mr.
You know, I'll tell you.
Just incredibly fast. Like they absolutely incredibly fast. Right. And I know she's improved technically. She was raw at the beginning. Kind of a heavy touch, whatever, but she cleaned a lot of that up, and that's what played that well. Obviously, it's super clean and super quick. Yeah, right. Yeah, definitely. You see that, that's another level, right?
No, it's evolving. Yeah, I was talking to Nick, he threw 60 pitches the other day, and I'm like, holy cow. But they're breaking down like the whole anatomical, like why he might get fatigued, like all slow and.
Yeah. No, a lot of players, a lot of teams are going on, and now they're putting like second and third tier.
Arm angles,
Like,
between that car on his separation,
Right,
it's
they're in the
insane.
facilities now.
And it's insane. And And so what it does, not only does it talk about first change our rate, by increasing your spin efficiency, more spin creates more ball. But more importantly, it charts, I mean, like entries based on what you're doing.
Yeah.
So it's all about our
It's just having a
future.
future goals.
It's all breaks and charts, and the guys that drive guys just and how they break it, so they're playing out.
That's it.
So this is cool
That's
stuff.
it. Yep.
I agree with you about this fitness thing, because you know what, you can't get fit in 12 days.
No,
You gotta show up, you gotta show up to the hard doors,
Yeah.
dress up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, sure.
Little girls on that team.
Yeah, no, right, yeah.
What they want to do.
Right.
Good. So that's-
Because we're like,
that's-
we're
that's-
Yeah, right.
thank you, Mr. Ed. Nice to meet you.
Don't be old. Exactly.
But we spoke like
No, it's about like, like, the concept of,
I know.
that's interesting, you say that everything's wrong.
Oh, you mean goal setting? No, yeah,
I think
we said that.
I mean, a
We
lot
wanted to
of
make sure we
people
didn't, and it's in our notes actually, that we believe in goal setting. The thing is, it's like the elephant in the room. Like, why was it, like, we all know the goal would be to get back to 6. We all know the goal was. But now, how are we gonna train? It's like, who doesn't want $800,000 house?
Yep.
Now, how you gonna get it?
The more you manage,
Yeah.
the perfect game, it's not good enough.
Yeah.
And that's how you play.
Yeah, all of a sudden, you're down 0-0 without a game.
If the speed focus is steep, it doesn't mean you're not speed.
Exactly, exactly.
Anyway, enjoy.
I'm sure. Good to see you, thanks for coming.
Right.
Adam, I'll see you.
I'll see you later, Joe.
So she plays with a lot of girls.
Yeah, no,
But gradually, 21.
Right.
alright, so.
Yeah, so they're sophomores.
Right,
Yeah,
right, exactly. So, so that girls who are old.
No, my name is-
We're going to graduate with
I know.
trying to get younger.
Right.
So how do you,
I know.
you know, so you gotta be like eat.
Yeah, that's really the place to go. Go to you.
Yeah.
Of course, I'll text you.
Schools that you that you're interested in, and you get on their list, and then you go to their campus.
No, not at all.
And you-
Plus, I'll do-
You know, listen, the main thing is the academics. She's interested in it.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming.
Adam Holzer, Emily's dad.
Mr. Holder, how are you? Good to see you.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry she couldn't make it.
She said it's fine.
Yeah.
So they had training, they had training.
I really cool.
Yeah, that smelly, is it in the inside?
Well, the guy who kind of runs the team, this guy, you know Habib?
Yes.
So Habib's a trainer.
Right.
He's wonderful.
Yep.
Great trainer. But the parent, I guess, who organized the team years ago,
Yeah.
said he was like first year of the team, he owns the dome.
Right.
So there you go. So why wouldn't you get?
He gets access to it. It's sort of the hills.
Yeah.
So
Is that
You
Goldberg?
need help? Haskins, okay.
Goldberg, is that you, Goldman?
Goldman.
Yes.
So owns the,
Yeah, he bought it.
so, but, right, he bought it,
Yeah.
right? But he didn't make money.
Yeah.
So on Saturday mornings, he can only fit us in at 7 in the morning.
Yeah, sure.
So
right.
like, really?
Yeah, I know, right. The
This
women-
is,
yeah.
this is right now, the rest of the day, like, really?
Right.
You know,
Holy
these kids
cow.
are up at 6:15 every day.
Every day.
Right, I'm up at 6:15 every day, right? You can't.
They go out on Friday. They go out on Friday. They're gonna walk like zombies, you know.
We're supposed to play this weekend, I'm hoping it'll get snowed out.
Yeah,
We're supposed to
yeah.
play this weekend too. You're gonna be in Manhattan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, us too.
Yeah, the weather's a little
8
iffy.
a.m. all the way up to Brentwood. But we gotta get some games in our because we're going down to,
Vegas?
Jeff,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
in Virginia.
Yep.
So we
That's
gotta
like
get
3 more
games.
weeks.
I know, we're-
already playing.
We're 12:15 and 4:20.
Yeah, what's his name said, I guess I was with Andy Miller today, said Evan was playing with you?
Yeah, so I go keep
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
We'll turn this
Well,
off.
thank you for the presentation,
All right,
appreciate it.
All right,
yeah,
take
nice to
care.
meet you. Have a good night.